Hi, this is Andrew from Immersed Games. In this video, we will go over the process of creating a quest using Tyto's quest creation tools. In this case, the Bloodborne Pathogens quest. This quest was created and recorded by our UX designer, Kylene, but for the purposes of this video, I'll be going through the creation of the quest in first person. Here we are in Tyto's main quest creation page. To start the process of creating a quest, click on this button on the top right. Give the quest its name, and then click on Create Quest. This quest should ideally occur on one of the existing maps in the library, or one of your own if it has been uploaded. So pick a map from the drop-down menu here. In this case, we'll use the office map in the map library. As you can see, the map has been generated below. You can click on this edit icon here to modify the map for your quest. This is the interface for the level editor. To navigate around the map, use the W, S, A, and D keys to locomote horizontally. Use the E and Q keys to elevate and recede respectively. If you hold down the right click on your mouse and move the mouse around, you can rotate the camera. Use these navigation tools in tandem to move around the map. On the left, you can see the importer where you can import people and props into the map. Simply select a non-player character, which you define as NPC, or prop from the appropriate drop-down menu and press import. Voila! Our NPC Eileen has been imported for this quest. The inspector on the right side is where many elements of the map can be viewed. The character we just imported is found in the Nodes tab, which you can expand here. To move the character, we simply select the character in the inspector, then select the appropriate movement function here, in this case location. You will see a gizmo appear on the character you have selected. Click and drag the appropriate colored axes to move the selected character along said axes until you are satisfied. You can also use the rotate function found next to the location function to rotate the character along similar axes to your liking. You may continue to add and move other pre-made characters and props to the map to fit whatever your quest requires. In this case, we are adding Leah and Joe characters that by design display sickness and sneezing for our quest. Be sure to save often as you do. Next, we will go through our quest flow function, which can be found in the above tab here, labeled Quest Flow. The quest flow is how we build the sequence of tasks and interactions for the quest. On the left here, we can see different tasks that we can add for the quest, separated by two categories. 3D world tasks are tasks that require interaction with an element on the actual map when the task is initiated, while 2D tasks are tasks that require interaction with a 2D picture or image when the task is initiated. As you can see, when I click on the Dialog Task button, a node gets added to the workspace on the right. We can shift the nodes by clicking and dragging them. If I have added a task that I did not want, I can select the erroneous node and hit backspace on the keyboard to remove said node. For this quest, I know which nodes I want to have, which is a bunch of interaction nodes, for example. So I will select the interaction button multiple times to add them to my workspace and arrange them to my liking. For each task node, I can add a simple description so that I know how I would like each node to function. These interaction tasks involve me speaking to the appropriate characters in sequence. Now, I want to define the order of operations of these tasks. To start, I will left-click and hold the dot below the start node, drag it to the dot above the next task node, and release, connecting the node and establishing the flow. I will continue down the interaction tasks to establish the order of operations for the quest. As I build my quest to my specifications, I will continue to add task nodes and attach them to establish the quest flow. I'm also adding the picture click nodes as part of the quest here, which we will go through its functionality later. Adding descriptions help me know what I intend for each task, and I arrange them in a way that makes sense to me in the creation of my quest. When I have added all the task nodes I need, I finish the quest flow by attaching the final task to the top of the end node, indicating that this last task will end the quest. It is important to save frequently, so periodically I will press the save function up here to save the work I have done so far. Now, let us explore how to define the functionality of these tasks, starting with this first dialog task. I can double-click the icon of the task node to look at that, or alternatively, I can click on the Task Definition tab on the top. Now I am in the Task Definition tab, and as you can see on the left here, I am editing the first dialog task while the other tasks are stacked below according to quest flow. This task is a branching dialog task where when the player interacts with the defined NPC of the task, they will open a dialog menu to speak with the defined NPC with multiple choice replies. The first box is the instruction that the player will see as the task to do, so you can define the text here. This next box is where we input the code for the dialog to happen. I already have the code for the dialog I want to define, so I will paste it here. We will go through creating the code for the dialog elsewhere. I will press submit to commit these changes. Finally, we want to define the NPC associated with this task. So I will select the edit button for the map, navigate to the appropriate NPC, click on the select target button here, and select the NPC I want designated for this task, in this case Eileen. As you can see, my selected NPC now has a green outline to them, indicating my intended selection. When I am satisfied, I will click done and also save my quest just as a good habit. We can move on to the next task we defined in the quest flow, which is this interaction task. The intention of this interaction task is that after the previous task is complete, we want the player to go to Leah and interact with her, basically to move up to her, left click on her and have her speak some words. We will begin as always with the task description to tell players what to do. Then we will define the player action, in this case clicking on target, as our intention is to have the player click on a target in the world, and for this task, it's Leah. Next, we will use the target selection to select Leah, our intended target. Finally, we will have to define the feedback, which is what happens when we click on the intended target. In this case, we want a notification banner to appear when we click on Leah, implying Leah is speaking back to us. I will type a reply from Leah, who doesn't seem too fast about her illness. I will press submit to commit these changes. Be sure to save often as you do. The next interaction task is intended as players speaking to Rick after Leah, who also has an apparent illness. I will define it similarly with Rick being the intended target. Third interaction task now has players find out what could be causing this revolting workplace illness. My intentions will be players clicking on a patch of bloodstains in the environment. I will begin as always with the task description for players to know what to do. What I want for them is to click on the target that is the bloodstains on our table in the map, but it has not been added to the map yet. Luckily, I can use the edit tool to import the bloodstain prop, which is already part of the library, and move it to the appropriate place. Select the prop in the inspector, use the location tool and adjust via the gizmo. I will select the prop as the intended target and define the feedback, which for this is confirmation of the problem via notification banner. I want the player to inform Eileen of the problem, So the next task is this dialogue task set to Eileen to talk about the problem. After defining the task description, I will again code the interaction I intend for the player to have with Eileen and set Eileen as the target. At the end of that task, Eileen will ask you to get some cleaning supplies from the pantry. I intend for players to look at a picture of the pantry and select the appropriate cleaning supplies. For this, we have our next task, the picture click 2D task. I will define the task description so the player knows what to do. Then, I will determine how the picture click user interface appears. In this case, I want them to click on the pantry cupboard to initiate the interaction. So, I will set click a target in the scene, edit, and navigate to the cupboard of the pantry, and select it as the intended target to begin the picture click interaction. Now, I want to define what picture will be shown for the players to click on. I click on this button to add a picture for the picture click. I select the image from the image library, and since I have both correct and incorrect options possible for this task, I will check clicks are assessed. Below here, we can see the picture to be used for this interaction. I will define instructions here so the players know what to click on. Now to set the clickable areas. Per our quest intentions, we want to define the areas on the picture for the player to select. We want there to be a bunch of selectable areas that are correct and incorrect. And we want the player to select all the correct ones for the task to be complete. This bar above the image lists the selectable areas that we have defined for the image. As of now, we only have one, but we can add more with the plus button. Let's define this first area labeled 1. Let's say we want players to correctly click on this roll of paper napkins. We left-click select the first area defined as number 1. Then on the image, we start left-clicking marking the general area of the paper napkins. We close the loop of the selection and can continue to refine the selection with these control points. Once we are satisfied with the selection, we can click the green tick to confirm. If not, we can always click the red button to restart this area. Finally, for this first area, we want to define it as a correct selection. So we will go below here and define it. And on top of that, give some feedback text that shows when the player has selected the area. Next, I'll go up and click on the plus button to add a second area to define. This time the N95 masks. This selection is considered a neutral selection because it can be used for this cleaning task, but it's not necessary, so I will define it as so, plus feedback. Third selection will be this box of nitrile gloves, which is another correct selection, so I will set it up appropriately. Setting the fourth area as this collection of mundane trash bags, which is an incorrect selection because we want to use biohazard bags, not regular trash bags. So I will define it as incorrect. And so on and so forth, till I have all the areas that I want defined for the quest. Following up, I have another dialogue task where players report to Eileen the problem. Eileen will then inform the players of the next steps, so I will set up the dialogue task accordingly. The next task is yet another picture click task, as Eileen asks you to inspect the nitrile gloves for proper usage. For that, I need to import another prop, the nitrile glove box, as the target to initiate the picture click. I set the task definition, import a box of nitrile gloves, and place it in the map, and set it as the defined target. For the picture click image, I choose the appropriate image, in this case the glove picture click here, and because it is an inspection task with correct and incorrect options, I will yet again check accessible clicks. Like in the previous image, I will define the areas I want as correct, incorrect, or neutral assessments with corresponding feedback text. One thing to note as I define this third area, is that as I have the third clickable area selected, I can define multiple selections as the third area like so. And you can see that both will be labeled as number 3. This is so that several areas could count for the same type of selection. I will do the same for the fourth selectable area, which is defined by 2 selections. I will continue to define more areas to complete this picture click task. For the following picture click task, I want the players to clean up the blood stains on the desk. What I want for the players is to see an image of randomized steps for the process of cleaning up this hazard, and for them to choose the steps to clean up the mess in the correct order. To do this, I've made the same image several times in a sequential order, with each preceding image highlighting the previously selected steps. First, I set the bloodstains prop as the target for the picture click to initiate. I uploaded each image in order as their own picture click and titled them for the image captions. I will go to each image and make each have its own defined singular correct area with feedback in the correct order, from the first step to the last. The next 3 interaction tasks are basically the same simple environment interaction tasks that we've been doing. The first being to select the trash bin to indicate throwing away the biohazard bag. So I will proceed to set up this interaction task with the task definition, selection of the object, and the feedback. The next interaction task is to select the cupboard to put the cleaning supplies away. And the third here being to select the sink to give the players the impression of washing their hands. The final task for this quest is a dialogue task to talk to Eileen and confirm the finishing of the quest, with task description, added dialogue code, and selecting Eileen as the NPC target. Voila! Save and you have your quest. You have the capacity to preview your task at any time in the process by pressing this handy preview button here. And that is the process of making the Bloodborne Pathogens quest.